Hey guys, here we are in lesson 12 in the Foundations of Algebra course. We're going to talk today about two more applications that just come up so frequently that we wanted to highlight them in their own instructional video. The applications that I'm referring to are percent change and proportions or proportional reasoning. Okay? I think it's best just to hop right into some examples and we'll explain them as we go. So for example, let's say there were 200 students enrolled in a school last year. And this year, that enrollment will decrease by 15%. The question is, how many students will be enrolled this year? All right, well, we understand then that the number of students this year is going to be 200 minus some amount of students that we lost, right? The amount of decrease. So what we need to do is figure out that amount of decrease. Well, we're told that enrollment will decrease by 15%. So what does that mean? Are we going to lose 15 kids? 1,500 kids? I don't know what that means. Well, to clear up that confusion, what's really important here, and the key to this percent change kind of application, is it's 15% of something. So the enrollment will decrease by 15% of the number of students last year, of last year's enrollment. Okay? So when you're given information like that, like it'll go down by 15%, it'll go up by 30%, whatever, that percent is of some other quantity. So you need to figure that out. All right, so we understand that now. The enrollment will decrease by 15% of the number of students last year, which was 200. So it's 15% of 200. Well, we know what that means. That's just 15% times 200. And if you do that calculation in any way you want, you get 30. So the enrollment will decrease by 30 students. That's important that we get that first. Now we can hop back up to the green. So the number of students is going to be, this year, will be 200 minus 30 students, which just ends up being 170. So that means we're going to have 170 students this year. Looking okay? So percent change, just keep in mind that whatever the percentage is, it's a percentage of something else, and you got to figure that out. Sometimes it might not be explicit. Okay, here's another one. Let's say a patient is receiving 12.5 milligrams of a drug. The doctor wants to raise that dose by 20%. So what should the new dose be? All right, well, just like in our last example, our new dose will be the original dose, 12.5, plus some extra. Okay, we want to increase the dose. Well, we're told that the dose will increase by 20%. Well, 20% of what? Good. 20% of the original dose. Okay, so that's 12.5. So it's 20% of 12.5 milligrams. That's what we need to compute. All right, well, we got that again. No big deal. That's 2.5 milligrams. Everybody okay? So first you find out what we're taking the percentage of, 20% of the original dose. All right. And then we're in business. We can calculate it. So we're going to increase it by 2.5 milligrams. So let's put it together. So the new dose will be 12.5 plus 2.5. Well, that's just 15 milligrams. That's what the new dose is. All right. The second application that comes up so frequently is dealing with proportions or proportional reasoning. And what that really means is that one quantity depends on another quantity. And to say that they're proportional really means that you can figure out one quantity from the other one just by multiplying by some important fixed number. And it's probably easier to show you one than to talk about it, but to be proportional means something really super important. And here it is. For example, let's say you know that each computer in a warehouse, let's say, weighs 5.2 pounds. All right, well, that means that 3 computers would weigh 3 times 5.2, right? Or 15.6 pounds. So if you know how much one weighs, they all weigh the same amount. The total weight of the 3 computers implies that. So it's just 3 times 5.2. If you want the total weight of 6 computers, well, then you just do 6 times 5.2 to get 31.2 pounds. Okay? So, by the way, the 2 quantities we're talking about here are how much one computer weighs, and the other one is how much 3, total weight of 3 computers, or the total weight of 6 computers. All right? And then the total weight of 10 computers, well, okay, obviously, we're just going to take 5.2 and multiply it by 10. So 10 times 5.2 or 52 pounds. So the key number here, and you may not have thought of these kind of problems like this. This is just kind of like our typical multiplication application. But here we're viewing it as a proportional kind of application. So the magic number here is 5.2. That's the number we multiply by. All right. Let me put it together. Before we do, I just got to tell you, can you see that knowing how much one computer weighed was really crucial to figuring out those other ones? Once we had how much one weighed, we were good to go. If you want to know how many 15 weighed, just take that weight and multiply it by 15. Very simple. So it's really, really kind of a nice bit of information to have. Okay, so if you know what one computer weighs, and this is a proportional thing, so we're dealing with this multiplication kind of connection. If you know what one computer weighs, then we can figure out how much any number of computers weigh. All right, very simply. And that extends to other proportional quantities, like this. For example, 3 computers weigh a total of 12.6 pounds. How many total pounds would 5 computers weigh? All right. Well, let's do this. We know how much 3 computers weigh, right? They weigh a total of 12.6 pounds. Let's use that to figure out how much 1 computer weighs. Well, we know how to do that. We need to take the 12.6 and divide it by 3. So that's 4.2. So each computer weighs 4.2 pounds. Once we've got that, we're good to go. We want to know how much total 5 computers weigh. So the total weight of 5 computers is just 5 times 4.2, or in this case, 21 pounds. All right. So try to figure out that 1 value. Like this. If you have 5 nutrition bars and they contain a total of 3 1/8 grams of fiber, how many total grams of fiber would 3 bars contain? Okay, so we've got this relationship, 5 nutrition bars and 3 1/8 grams of fiber. Well, what we really want to do is figure out how many grams of fiber there are in 1 bar. So let's take our 3 1/8 and divide it by 5. Now, I'm not going to take time to go through the operation, but you guys know how to do that. There it is, really laid out, showing every single step. It's 5/8. So 1 bar contains 5/8 grams of fiber. So once we know what 1 bar contains, now we can figure out the total in 3 bars. So let's just take 5/8 and multiply it by 3. That's 15/8, or 1 7/8 grams. Looking okay? All right. We'll call it a day on lesson 12. This is super exciting because in our next lesson, lesson number 13, we will finally get a chance to introduce algebra. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. I'll see you in the next lesson. Take care, guys.